Hello and welcome back to Strategic IT Solutions. Today we are going to be discussing Elastic Compute Cloud, also known as EC2. And EC2 is a web service that provides secure, resizable compute capacity in the cloud. Basically, they are servers. So AWS has the server platforms, Windows and Linux, and they have all available operating systems for Windows and Linux, a variety of sizes. You get to choose your server type, your instance type, and these are easily resizable. So if you launch an instance and you decide 1 month down the line, a year down the line, that the capacity it needs to be increased. If you need to increase the capacity of that instance, you just shut it down and you just change the instance type and start it back up. So that's what they mean by easily resizable. So now I will demonstrate how to launch an instance, and this demonstration will be an Amazon Linux EC2 instance. Now I will demonstrate how to create an EC2 instance, and in this video we are doing Linux. So you would go to your AWS services and you click EC2. You're going to click on Instances on the left, and then you would click Launch Instances. Now here you need to select an image, and AWS provides a variety of images that you can use. So we are going to work with the Amazon Linux. So we're going to select the first one that says Amazon Linux 2. So now we need to select the type of instance, and this is based on the specs that you need. So how much CPU, memory, what type of performance you need. For the purpose of this video, we are going to select the free tier, which is a T2 micro. So this is free for me. And then we're going to click on Configure Instance Details. And here you can see you can launch multiple instances at one time. That's the beauty of AWS. We're only launching one instance. So if I wanted to spin up 5 of the same type of instance, I can do that. I am only doing one. And now you're going to select the network. And I am going to be using my internal VPC that I created. If you have multiple VPCs, you're going to want to hit that drop down and select the one that you need. And here we're going to select our subnet. Do we want this in our public, our DMZ? Do we want this on our internal protected network? I'm going to select the DMZ. So public IP is disabled by default. If you want to have yours assign a public IP automatically, you can do that. It's best not to until you decide when you would like to make your instance public. Once you're done hardening it, then you can assign a public IP manually. So that's all we're going to do here. When you shut down, the behavior is going to be stopped. You can go through the list of options that you have, but one thing you should take note of is tenancy. You want it to be shared. This basically means the hardware on the back end is shared amongst multiple customers rather than just dedicated hardware, which of course is going to be a whole lot more expensive. So now we're going to click Add Storage. And this is basically the size of your volume, so the size of your hard drive, okay? So it comes with a root volume, and it's giving you 6 gigs. If you want to increase that, you can. And once you terminate, this box basically means delete upon termination. It just means that when you terminate that instance, this volume gets deleted. And here you can add encryption or not. So you can choose to encrypt your volume. And here AWS comes with its default encryption key. It's always good to encrypt your volume. So if you want to create an encryption key, you can, or you can use the AWS encryption key. So we're going to use that AWS encryption key by default, and then we're going to click Add Tags. So I am going to give it a name, and I'm going to call this web server. And if you would like to add department or function or any other tag that you would like, you can certainly do that. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. And then we create our security group. So here, if you have existing security groups, you can do that. Or if you would like to create a specific security group for this, you can also do that. So since this is a Linux box, one of the ports that you need to have is SSH, because that's how you're going to access the box. And we're going to we're going to give this security group a name. Okay, so it's going to be our web server security group. And they want you to put a description too, by the way. So we're creating our new security group, and it's our web server security group, and we're allowing SSH inbound. That's the only thing that we're allowing inbound. And then we're going to review and launch. And now you have the opportunity to just review all of the settings that you have selected before you launch. And now you click launch. Now we need to select the key pair to encrypt the instance, and we're going to click choose an existing key pair. And here I have a list of key pairs that I have created. I'm going to use the DMZ key, and we're going to click acknowledge that we have access to the private key and launch. All right, so you can view the launch log here, and it just shows that it's initiating launch. We can click on the instance ID. So this is a new instance that was created. We can click on the instance ID to check the status. And here we see it's pending. And we can actually click on that instance to see some details about it. So here we see that we have our instance ID, we have our private IP address assigned, and we see that there is no public IP address assigned to this instance. So we are going to manually assign a public IP address. So right now it's running. It does have to perform some checks to ensure that this system is healthy. So we're going to go ahead and assign the public IP address right now. So on your left navigation, you are going to scroll to Elastic IPs. We're going to click on that. And we are going to click Allocate Elastic IP Address so that we can get a new IP for this instance. And we just select, you want to verify the region that we're in, and it's East 1, which is correct, and click Allocate. We see we have our new IP address. First thing we're going to do is just give it a name, and we're going to call it web server, so it's easy to identify the next time we come in here. And we're going to need to click on the IP address, and now we are going to associate this IP with an instance. So now we're going to click Associate Elastic IP, and we're going to select the instance that we'll be using. This is the web server that we just created. We're going to click on that, and this web server only has one private IP address, so we just select the IP and click Associate. Now that that's done, we can go back to our instance. And if we refresh our screen, we should see the public IP address now assigned to this instance, as we see here. Okay, it's still initializing the checks, but from experience, I know that you can still access this new instance. So we are going to access this instance using PuTTY. And we're going to log into our public IP address, which is and we need to select our key. That's the only way we're going to get access to this system. So we're going to do SSH, and then we're going to select auth, and we're going to browse to our private key pair. And this is our DMZ private key. We'll go back to session and we'll click open. And this popped up, so I'm going to say no. It popped up on my other screen. All right, and when logging into an EC2 Amazon Linux instance, the login name is EC2 user by default. And as you can see, it authenticated with public key, and now it's asking me for my private passphrase that I created when I created this key pair. And that's it. That's how you log in to your new EC2 instance. So I have my public key, which Amazon uses, the private key, which I used in my PuTTY session, and I also had a passphrase. All right, so that's it, guys. That's how you launch an Amazon Linux instance. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one.